See how can I do this. Everything's good. Everything working very good. Let me start in a couple seconds. As soon as I start sharing my Facebook page, we're gonna start. There you go. I do this. Share. Again, Facebook's just acting kind of weird again. It's not allowing me to share my stuff for some reason. I have no idea. Sometimes it allows me to just put out in my post, sometimes it doesn't, but that's something I have to figure out later. Okay. Good. All right. So we're going to start in today's episode. Let me just say welcome to the P Alpha Music Podcast. My name is Pablo Jose Ruiz Vargas. I'm the host of this podcast. And remember, you can just listen to the podcast in anchor.fm.com, or you can just go to any distributor platforms such as Apple Music, Google Play, Radio, all that stuff. You will find our podcast available. So also you can follow me a lot of the social media, especially Facebook and YouTube. I have my Instagram account. I have two Instagram accounts, but they're a little bit abandoned because right now I'm trying to focus on YouTube and Facebook first. Yeah, but let's just get into it. If you have any questions, any comments, you just can write in the platforms where you're just listening to the podcast, and hopefully I will just go and give you a shout out or just answer those questions. And meanwhile, let's start episode 43. Does music have an influence on my life? So I'm gonna just put in my perspective as a musician. For those that listen to my podcast for motivational materials and self-development, this is a great article that I wrote. If you want to just follow me in my article, the link is in the archive in the comments below on the description. You can follow it as well. Okay, so let's get it started. So does music have an influence on my life? In your case and yours. Being influenced in our reality is an underrated topic, given the fact that it is a slow process where we as a human do not see it instantly. It goes from the moment that you press play in your favorite platform through the rest of your day. Okay? There are different thoughts on what really influence a person, whether it's cultural or genetics. Although you can make the arguments for both, it's fair to say that each school has a correct some sense. Now, influences can come from anywhere: communities, role models, movies, friends, family, or even who you relate with. In this case, I will talk about the power of music in your life, or better ask the question, does music has an influence on my life? In my personal experience, when I go back, I remember being a little kid and hanging out with my friends and playing with them. We will play baseball, basketball, go fishing, all those things that a little kid does. This is my first stage, the kid stage. There was something that I always had an issue with, and that was music. A lot of my friends was influenced A lot of my friend was influenced by the big musical hit at the time. Early reggaeton and rap music was very common among Puerto Rican and still is. As a kid, I was very confused, and guess what? Because my friends like it, I ran with it. I started using clothes and languages and manners on a daily basis. Their words, emotional reactions, and even their culture were part of me. I would woke up, listening to it, and living their message. I was leaving their message. This is my next stage, the rebel stage. During my teenagers, I changed to a metalhead. Again, living with through the messages, clothes, culture, way of life, languages, all that stuff. This time, the music was complex, similar to many of my friends at the time, reflecting their lifestyle and their belief system. A lot of hate and anger towards people. Being rebel about life and speeding, Creator and Slayer, those are bands, lyrics through my mouth. I just wanted to fight and destroy everything. I was very negative. The Renaissance stage. When I started my bachelor degree in music, everything changed again. This time, classical music entered my life, and my way of being changed around it. Knowing more about culture, philosophy, math study, and being an independent thinker, and on. Topics such as politics, religion, business, and economy were more relevant than soap operas in different musical scenes. Thinking deeply about music and the effect of certain chords, being curious about the context of musical theory and the importance of connection and bridges. The form and structures were part of my life, same as a sonata or rondo. Does music have an influence on my life? Well, that is up to you to decide. I'm just a messenger through this computer. There is an influence on music, whether it is good or bad. Oral messages can influence your thoughts on the negative or positive side. Telling to yourself or reciting messages influence your subconscious mind, such as diet influences your body in the long run. I still know some of my friends are in the kid stage or rebel stage. I know a lot of those. Living by influences that make their life what they are. In the end, it's their choice. We decide which stage we get influenced. Be aware of what you are feeding to your mind. Be aware of the sound that influence you on your daily basis. So that was an article, a blog post that I wrote a couple of weeks ago about those music have an influence on my life. Okay, listen, folks. What you say every day, right? What you say every day does have an influence on your life. What you read or hear does have an influence on your life. Everything has an influence in your life. Eating has an influence in your life. The decision making that you have or you make every day does have an influence in your life. It's simple. Practicing music has an influence in your life. Keeping at least 30 or an hour of practicing whatever your instrument does have a decision in your life. That will count in the end days. Since we are in very weird times, right? It's very easy to really be manipulated by external events very easily. By things that have done that by things that does not add value to yourself. It's very easy. Since I've been adding a lot of value to myself, just to reading all that stuff. I noticed that the more the more I get into these topics, right, I just notice how much time I wasted in these 13 years of my life, or even more, 20 years. A lot of the decisions that I made, a lot of the things that happened in the past, brought me to they brought me to some situations because of last past decisions. I changed a lot of my music, the things that I was listening, because they did have an influence in my life. At Kiss stage, I was just a follower. I was not a leader. I was just going to the crowd. I was a collective mind person. Whatever the group says. If this is what society like, I would like it too. If listening to this music is gonna bring me women, I will listen to it. So it was more about what the crowd was following. My teenager stage. Even though I changed to a smaller niche, right? Metal music. Those that know about metal, I went from alternative music all the way to death metal, black metal, hardcore, all that stuff. But inside my heart, I didn't like it. I did not like it. I hate it. Even though I hate it, I was not truthful to myself because I was a follower. I was following people. I was not following my heart. And those times were crucial. I mean, I was rebel. I was very emotional, unstable. I was crazy. I was just going around. If I'm listening music that is very, very dense, I'm going to start acting very dense. Those people know Slayer creator, you know, how trash metal is. Yeah, it's not the old one. We're not talking about Metallica, even though it's like American trash metal. We're talking about European trash metal, which is more oof. It really pump you up, but then all the energy that you're building for years, it's like a bubble, right? You start just putting a lot of pressure, it's gonna blow. And it happens to me. I blew a couple times. That was my teenager stage. Rebel, wanted to fight everybody. Even though I started doing martial art by that time, because I was getting bullied and I wanted to defend myself, but no one was defending me. So I was taking that as well. And I learned martial art, and I earned my degrees and stuff like that. I got to black belt. I knew how to defend myself, and yeah, I earned a lot of shit. But still, I was very unhappy because a lot of the demons that was inside me I never dealt with. So we go now to the last stage, right? And it's the Renaissance stage, right? So the Renaissance stage is just still going until today. I started listening to classical music, so even I was listening to classical music that came with a lot of topics that never interested me, but now they're starting to interest me. So for not even knowing who was Mozart to now liking whatever was happening during that time of Mozart, I became a person that was intrigued by different topics. People will find me and I'm boring. I didn't care. People didn't want to spend a lot of time talking about economics, politics. I didn't care either. I was happy. Became to start happy because I started to be a more conscious of myself. But that stage really, really expanded until what is today. And this is the last stage that I would like to engage. The Renaissance Plus. This is where you really are detached for any collective, right? Any collective groups, right? So now instead of being a person run by the collective or the masses, yeah, you put that into a small niche. And then if you decide to follow someone, it's because that person, right, is going to bring value to yourself. Okay, so now you're making every decision, right, with a clear understanding of why you're making that decision to hang out with that person. Because you don't want to get late, because you don't want to just lie to yourself, be the cool guy, or none of that stuff. You're hanging out with this person because you know it's going to bring you to a next level. They're going to be honest with you. They're going to put your ego down. All those things that are very hard to understand to the common man, now it's going to be part of you as a non-common man. People are not going to understand you, and you're going to start acting weird. Your music, what you hear now, instead of listening to music, now you start listening to all the stuff. Business podcast, how to make money with your music. Where do I start making money with my music? Where do I distribute my music? From home. How do I make my concerts more available to the world? See, everything has a different now usage, because now you're making decisions with a conscious mind. Now that I'm 31, right? A lot of things really start to unfold. And now that the fashion of responsibility has gotten stronger, and now I'm just not only looking for short terms, for long terms, even for the things that can influence me. Don't get me wrong, I listen sometimes to old school heavy metal, Megadeth, a little bit of Ingrid Malmsteen, Van Halen. I listen to Metallica. It's fine, right? But instead of doing that, right, I know I can put like a nice podcast. So now my music influence became my nutrition to become better. Listening to a Vivaldi symphony, or Sinfonia, or listening to 10 preludes and fugue from Bach. That now I'm making a clear decision of what can be influenced through my ears. Because I know the more I invest in this, it's gonna become in a better result from years on. When I go back, I will say, damn, thank God I really did that decision. Without that decision, I would not be in this stage of my life. For me, I do like and love classic music, right? Sometimes as a classic musician, it was very hard for me to just sit down and listen to it because of the connection of academics. There's a bad connotations in academics in the classical music because you became very detached emotionally from your music. It's very it's more academical than realism. I started hating Beethoven for some reason. Took me like 2 or 3 years after I left school to just listen to his sonatas again. Stuff like that. Because the bad connotation. I was working on my music, just getting nowhere. You understand that? Imagine you doing a doctorate degree. You finish your doctorate degree when you're 31, and you haven't even made your first album or your first video even. No one knows you. You're going to the workforce. You're going to the workforce of a very green individual, and you have no idea how the world works. and you have a doctor degree in your pocket and no one cares because you never invested nothing on you. Not discouraging anyone that has a DMA or doctor degree. I think you guys, anyone that has made it, congratulations. I think awesome, right? In my case, I didn't see value in just pursuing doctor degree, just going more in that. That it was. I was in Wyoming when I was trying to pursue my doctor degree, and I came to New York once, and I look at the city and I was like, no way, man, I'm not going to keep studying. I was doing my performance certificate after I finished my master's degree, and I was like, no, no way, I'm going to pursue more studies. No, I need to just get my stuff done. I need to just get into the dirty stuff, start just working as a musician, try to make connections, how the real thing works. And to my surprise, I was far, far, far from reality. So these are the things that you have to be willing, right, to accept when you get influences by the things that you do every day. Your emotional state is very important. Your emotional state is what's going to make sure, right, that you can handle yourself in the wrong or the worst times of your life. It is. It is. Now, in terms of the in terms of what is going on, right, in the world, we have a lot of how I call it, a lot of impulse, right? A lot of dopamine effects. It's very easy just to get distracted to everything. It's very easy to get distracted to things that you really don't want to focus. We have the phone, we have the computers, we have nice looking women on Instagram, we have ugly women looking on Instagram, we have bodybuilder, we have a lot, right? At the same time, right, we now have to develop a way to keep ourselves focused, and that's the hardest. And I will tell you why. Because somehow we got complacent to create discipline on what are our real influences. Somehow we didn't just to control of our impulses. So now the dopamine rush is going crazy. People have problem with pornography. People have problem with drugs. People have problem with a lot of addictions that we people think is funny. It's not funny. People are just letting bad practices to take control of their life. People even have trouble finding themselves. They just relying on a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs, a lot of fake shortcuts to work in their own discipline. Listen, folks, I am human. I'm completely human. I'm not perfect. I have made a lot of mistakes and still make a lot of mistakes. Not perfect at all. But it really, really, really does make me happy when I just give this experience to other people. It does because you don't know how much you can change your life just making small changes. And anything, believe me, anything has an influence on you. Anything. Your family has an influence on you. What your family listens has an influence on you. What your girlfriend or wife tells you every day has an influence on you. Everything has an influence. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So you have to make a decision. Everything has an influence. So it's all come down to one thing. Does music influence your life? Yes. Anything that you put in your ear will make an influence. Whoever says no, that does not exist. Yes, it does. If you reciting, listening, that you're a piece of crap or whatever, every day you will believe it. And you'll be in denial. You will be in denial because you've been doing it for years. It's ingrained in your brain. Everything has an influence. Anything that you listen, anything that you say, anything that you read, anything that you let your dopamine take control, have an influence. So think about those things. Next time that you really put yourself in a situation of what do I going to put in my ears? Think, is this going to contribute anything to my life? Simple. All right. So hopefully that's helped a lot of people around. And this article is going to be in the description. You can read it top to bottom. Make sure that you know, leave some comments, some suggestions, and you need to contact me and stuff like that. You can just contact me at palphamusic@gmail.com or business at palphamusic.com or palphapodcast.gmail.com. Remember, you can listen to the podcast in all the radio distributor, Google Radio, Apple Music, everywhere. You can just click or just share the podcast, and I will really appreciate it. Okay, so this is Pablo Jose Ruiz. I'm the host of the P Alpha Music. Go to anchor.fm/palphamusic.com or not .com, just that anchor.fm/PJ Alpha Music Podcast. And that's going to be in the description. You can listen to all the episodes that I have been recording for the last couple of years. Hopefully that you can get a lot there's going to be guesses and stuff like that. You can get a lot of good material, and that way you can get some tips that we share during those last couple episodes. So this is P Alpha Music Podcast. My name is Pablo Ruiz. Hopefully you guys have a good night. I will see you in the next one.